get some food. Have you had food, Jerry?
Attack. It feels like I've been talking to myself again, but it's the only way you're ever gonna learn. You look back and it's all in the past. I'm dwelling on the thoughts I cannot say to you. If I don't say the words, then maybe it's not true.
Good evening, welcome to NUFC Matters with me, Steve Wraith, the sober Steve Wraith tonight, not the red wine sponsored Malverno Steve Wraith that you had last night, but I have enjoyed reading the comments today on Twitter and on the YouTube channel, people having a right laugh at it, and people saying we should have more of that. No, definitely not. Not after the way I felt this morning. I'll not be doing that for a while again, but we all need a blowout from time to time. And Newcastle, unfortunately, blew out of gas towards the second half of that game, but look, let me get my say out the way before I ask the panel about their views of today's game. Newcastle United have the same amount of points against Aston Villa, Liverpool, and Manchester City as they did this time last year. We've got 3 points. We beat Aston Villa at home, Manchester City away. We got beat last season, and of course Liverpool at home we lost as well. So that's a positive way of looking at it. Okay, we've still got the same amount of points. For me personally, I felt Newcastle dominated the first half, played very well. We didn't get the rub of the green with the officials again. Trent Alexander-Arnold should have been sent off. I do think that Van Dijk was a sending off, and I think that was correct. But then ultimately in the second half, and Newcastle just didn't get the look. They didn't get the look in front of goal, and Almiron was unlucky. We hit the bar, we hit the post. There was a couple of really good saves from Alisson, who had a very good game for Liverpool. And then ultimately the substitutions changed the game, and that's what happens in football sometimes. And Liverpool had 2 shots in the second half. They had 2 shots in the game after Van Dijk got sent off, and they scored both goals. Newcastle, unfortunately, didn't. And it's as simple as that. If there's no big reason to be depressed or down or upset or gutted. It's a game of football, and Newcastle lost it narrowly. So for me personally, I'm not too gutted. I'm not too disappointed. Obviously, it hurts when you know you should have won that game. Liverpool have got a bit of a hex over Newcastle for whatever reason. I think it was Toonstadt who said last time Newcastle won a game, Steve McLaren was manager. That tells you how long ago it was, since we beat Liverpool at St James's Park. So for me, it's not unusual. We will get there eventually. But let's not have a meltdown. Let's not have a crisis on social media. Let's not overreact. Let's not say that we haven't got a great team. Let's not say that the manager's lost his marbles. Let's not have a pop at the football club, because ultimately we are still way above where we ever dreamt we would be, with PIF and the owners coming in and doing what they've done. So for me personally, that's a little rallying call from me to any Newcastle fan that wants to listen. It's my opinion. You've got your opinion. I've got mine. But I genuinely don't want to see, overreaction and people going nuts. And look, we've got a good squad. It's going to be tougher this year. We've got a situation coming up in the next few weeks where we'll have the Champions League draw on Friday. We'll know who we're playing. September, international break, and then we'll be slap bang in the middle of maybe 2-3 fixtures, a week. It's going to be different. It's going to be difficult. So let's not overreact. Let's sit back, as I keep saying, and just enjoy this season for what it is. Do I think we'll finish where we finished last season after those first 3 games? It is probably going to be tougher this year. I still think we'll qualify for Europe. Do I think we'll finish in the Champions League? I don't know. I'd love to think we will, but we might have to have a little bit of luck with injuries and suspensions. And just enjoy it, and not have this down attitude, because honestly, it can, it can cause fans to fall out, and I'm seeing it already on social media tonight, and we don't need it. Okay, that's Rates rant over, Darren. What was your take on today's game, mate?
Well, to be fair, I was 15 minutes of going on the drink night, Steve, and but unfortunately, I'm here tonight.
Well, that saved you some money. There's another thing to be positive about, Darren.
Yeah, I know. We should have won. Trent should have been sent off, but what I will say, then it would have been a different game for Van Dijk, I guess, and the game would have changed. But he got lucky the day, Trent, for not getting sent off. It hurts me the night. I know it's not the end of the world. We got beat. Liverpool are a world-class team on paper. But I just think it's the first time I can say Eddie got his tactics wrong tonight on his substitutions. I do think Bourne should have come on for Amaron all day long. I felt Gordon was man a match 100%. Liverpool couldn't handle him. And I don't know why he took Tonali. Was Tonali injured or thing? I'd love to know that substitution for. And I feel sorry for Bruno. Yes, he was his missed pass for the second goal for them. People's going to jump in the bandwagon and criticise Bruno, but it happens in football. And it's like, we'll dust ourselves down, get back next week, and just forget about the bad result. There's a lot of positive tonight, I'll say, on some performances. Anthony Gordon, and I thought Joe Linton was immense. How he didn't get booked is beyond me, but he had a good game. But it's not the end of the world. I kind of agree with you, said Steve. Just hope fans don't have a meltdown after defeat.
Yeah, that's the worry and the concern for me, that people have a meltdown, and it's a game against Liverpool that we just we've narrowly lost. Ian, I'm going to keep you on mute, mate, because there's a lot of background noise with you being in the car, mate. So I'll bring you in when you're not in the car.
I just wanted to say hello. And that I am not as drunk as you were last night, Steve. I'll be home soon.
All right.
I'm sorry, it's Emily's fault I'm not home this early. She's let us down, and she made us promise that I won't put her on the camera.
All right, mate.
Oh, hi, Emily. Tell her George says hi.
All right, take care.
George, she loves you.
Thank you. Aww. Just what I need.
Yeah. All right, mate. Thanks, Ian. See you when you get back home, mate. Great stuff. Good to have you on. We'll see you when he gets back. So, Barry, you sat and watched that today. I know you're feeling a bit down, Barry, but there are some positives. That was a great finish by Anthony Gordon today.
I had an absolutely terrible night because I struggled like mad to find a stream where it was on. Because I'm not long getting rid of my Sky, which I need to try and get in. And the only channel I could find to bloody watch it had old Hairy Hands and Andy Gray on. So I had an absolute nightmare to start with. So your three knackers talking about it were Andy Gray, Richard Keys, and bloody Jason McAteer. And they were all slagging. Well, give them the dues. McAteer was slagging Newcastle off, saying, they're a Mickey Mouse little club in the middle of nowhere. And Richard Keys actually came on and said, hang on, mate. I'm sorry, but Newcastle are a bigger club than Liverpool, and they almost ended up in like a free-for-all in the middle of the studio, saying that Newcastle were a bigger club than they were financially, and all this, that, and the other. And I was like, oh God. But once I got past that, I thought the annoying thing is, Steve, you're right. There's so many pluses, but Liverpool were there for the taking. This was the game when we could have them. We were a better team. Majority of the first half, what Howe was doing, taking Gordon and Tonali off. They were both playing out the skin, especially Gordon. Gordon must be absolutely gutted because they look. Gordon especially was on fire. He was dragging Alexander-Arnold out of the pitch, and it's as though he's right. I've now got 20 good players, so I must give everybody a game. it's almost like, well, we've got to bring these guys on because they're sat on the bench. I thought substitutes, the idea was you brought them on for somebody who wasn't playing very well. You don't take your best player off the pitch and bring somebody on for him, which is what he did with Gordon. And I honestly thought Miggy should have come off. I thought Miggy was ineffective, especially second half. But you're totally right what you're saying. We've now played the two best teams in the league for me. We've played Man City last week where we didn't do badly. And we've played the Scousers, who are going to be well up there by the looks of it because they're a class team. Again, my worries is exactly what somebody said on the chat there. If Botman is in any shape, way or form injured, it's then a concern, especially if we are looking at Lascelles going out the door as well. It's going to leave Howe a huge decision of whether we bring somebody in very quickly, because if he's going to let him go, and then obviously there was the stories this morning about Matt Targett being looked at by other teams, he's then going to have to make some sort of decision. But just disappointed, especially that's the one team you want us to get one over on. And today was the day we could have done it. But like you say, you move on to next week, you move on to the Brighton game, because after that, after the way we played against Liverpool first half, we've got nobody to worry about in that league. If we're on form, we'll be up there with the best of them.
Okay, Vince, you've just got back from the game. You've seen a high and a low now. You've seen Aston Villa and that wonderful 5-1 win. You've seen Newcastle, I guess, just throw the game away in a lot of ways today. They should have had that in the bag. And the second goal, I think, would have killed Liverpool off. But what was your view on today's game, Vince? You're on mute, Vince, I think. Yes, you've muted yourself, Vince.
Yeah, sorry, I was eating. I didn't want to give you all the lovely noises that were going on there. But to begin with, Steve, I turned up to the match and there was someone else sitting in my seat.
Wonderful.
There was a fan there, and there was two fans there with the same ticket numbers.
Wow.
Like this, so I had to go and get a steward to come and sort it out, then get another one to come up. I spent most of the half sitting on the steps, waiting till get sorted and all that. But eventually, I got out so one lad obviously had a dodgy ticket and all that. So yeah,
surely they didn't argue with Darth Vader, for Christ's sake.
Oh, tell you. I was looking to force choke somebody. I was thinking, I just couldn't believe I was getting there. But then eventually I got to sit down. But yeah, for me, it was brilliant. Gordon was outstanding. Joe Linton was just everywhere. He was covering everything, and that he was just great. Botman, outstanding as ever, great. And I just said there, a bit worried about him. See him go up the header, and it's always one of them when you come down. You don't know if you don't see the landing. Sometimes you'll come down a bit dodgy, and that's what happened. I just hope he's all right. But for me, it was we kind of we did all right, but we're 10 when there were 10 men, we let them have the ball, and we just kind of stood off, and I couldn't understand it. It was like going pick up the pace. Normally we're fast at it, we're past it, and even when we played the ball out, Pope, and that was constantly just going to Sven Botman, and they were just playing it across the back, and you're thinking, come on, just get the ball moving, move it faster, move it. And I couldn't understand what was going on. It was weird. It was very weird. But yeah, I don't know, he should have been sent off. Yeah, and it was definitely a sending off. My friend watches the match down in Liverpool, and he had to leave the pub because he was getting that much abuse in the first half, and especially about them saying, wasn't a send off and that. He had to go home and watch it because he was getting that much abuse of the Liverpool fans. But it's it's one of them. If Mickey's goal had gone in the second half, where he just blasted past everybody, hit the post, had one of them. You take their first goal, it hit off. Did it hit off Botman's butt or something and went round him? And that's just that. That's that kind of look. It always, like it says, is it a curse against Liverpool? I think we need to bring in some kind of witch or wizard or something like that to uncurse the ground before we play Liverpool again in that stadium, because it just is something going on. It's always them. And I don't understand why, but
it used to be the London hoodoo. Now it's turned into Scouse hoodoo.
It just, I don't understand it. It's just like that. But we should we should have put them to bed, and we didn't. I was just sitting there. The end game was scratching my head. Didn't know what happened. But like says, we'll just move on. We'll go on and move on, and see what comes up next. But it's just God, Liverpool, and why Klopp? I don't want to. Oh God, Tippity Klopp. I'm just not. I'm not going to look at any kind of interviews here because I just cannot stand on the man.
Well, I managed to catch one, and he is very smug as usual.
Yeah,
George, yeah. What's your take on today's game, then, mate?
Well, it can't help but be disappointing. 3 points thrown away for me at the end of the day. But you're right. We did everything but get the second goal, and we'll play other matches like that and win by a hatful. It just wouldn't go in for it today. But the danger of the team like Liverpool is the longer you let them get into the game, the more dangerous they become. You see, once it gets near the last 10 minutes, they're only 1-0 down. They can gamble, and that's exactly what they did. And their shots went in. Ours didn't. If I want to be critical, well, I've got to be critical of Eddie Howe, I'm afraid. The substitutions who he chose, because they were playing very well, and B, the timing. The timing wasn't brilliant at all either for me. But he's the manager. It's what he's paid to do, and we hope he gets it right. I don't think he got it right today. But some of the performances, I mean, anybody who doubted why we bought Anthony Gordon, surely that was answered well and truly today. I mean, he was just unplayable. The other thing is, and it's a theme for us, the referee and officials were absolutely atrocious today. I mean, it wasn't just one bad decision. There were several bad decisions. And the decision not to send Alexander-Arnold off he didn't even review it. He just walked away from it. And that really was bad. I mean, second half, Trippier got a booking for something far less nasty as Alexander-Arnold did. So let's have some consistency, officials, please. And disappointment, but still pleased to see the way we're playing football, because we are playing football. Tonali, oh, great. Whoever decided to pick him, another good job. Absolutely super. He's going to be a star for us, no doubt about it. So disappointed, but we didn't do that badly.
Okay, Chippers.
Well, it's been quite a strange day, to be honest. I was just sitting at home and I thought I'd put 5 Live on, and good old Steve Bruce pops on the radio, doesn't he, talking about Newcastle again. So that started off pretty well, and I thought, I'll turn it off because I don't like his trade. So I turned it off, put the match on. First half, I was very impressed. I thought we controlled the game. I mean, so we should, no disrespect, but we're playing 10 men. Could have been 9, but again, we don't know how circumstances would have played out. Had one red card happened, you don't know what happens. Again, I think second half, I think the game management can be looked at a bit, because we created chances, but I thought we should have created more than what we did do, being 1-0 up. I know that might have left us a bit open, but I thought defensively, the defence didn't really have much to do other than the 2 chances they created when, they went for it, and for when they brought Núñez on. Again, I would have personally, I know I'm not a manager, I can't say anything, but I would have brought Anderson on earlier at 1-0. I would have brought him on at 1-0 for fresh legs to run at them. So you would have had them going at them and giving them something to think about. But I'm not disappointed, because a couple of years ago we were talking about getting thumped off these teams 4 or 5-0, and now we're bridging the gap again. We're talking about we should have beaten them. Like last week we talked about we could have got something at a team that's just won 4 trophies this calendar year. Now we're talking about a team that looking for the money analogy, but they bought an £80 million forward on today, and he made the difference by scoring 2 goals. So again, that's another thing to look at. But there's a couple of things I'll take from today is that we'll be competing for the top 6, no doubt about it. That season was no fluke, in that we are in Liverpool's heads. There's no, the way they celebrate the day, we are in their heads, and we're not getting out of it. So, I heard someone on Sky say beforehand that Klopp's in Howe's head. Well, I think after a day, it's role reversal. We're in their heads, and I don't think we're going to be leaving them anytime soon.
Mm-hmm. Okay, good points, Ian. Back home now, mate. So, give us your opinion on the game today, mate. How did you see it?
First of all, can I give you my opinion on your?
You're not going to let this lie, are you?
No. That was one. I think that was probably the greatest NUFC Matters recording I've ever seen in my life. I was so devastated and gutted that I missed being on that live there to have a bit of fun with you, Steve. You were brilliant.
One for the archive, Ian. One for the archive.
It would have been good being on it, like Steve. To be fair, it was good.
That's what me and Daz are like every single game in the Gallagher.
Well, I'm glad it gave so many people a laugh anyway, and everybody.
It's brilliant, mate. Honestly,
but I think a lot of people were genuine, were very genuine, and just said, just great to see that you've actually been out and had a.
Yeah, and you know what it is, Steve. That's what you need to do. Get out. You're not. You know, like it's not. You're not on the BBC. You know what I mean? This is a fans forum or it's a fans channel or whatever it is, and you had a right good laugh, and it was brilliant. And the lads looked after you as well. And I was watching it thinking, I
don't know how, because they were bloody legless as well.
Do you know what I was George? I was watching it thinking, wait until I'm on this tomorrow. I'm going to get more pissed than he is anyway. So love to see you, lads. I don't know what to say about that. It was. I could see it coming. It's not the end of the world. We absolutely dominated it. And I think that we will learn a lot from that defeat, because I think that their experience within their players won that game. I don't think anybody's to blame. Other like people in the pub where I was in, then they were saying such and such a body was this and such a body was that. I don't think that. I just think that they these are seasoned professionals. They know better than us, but I think that they maybe just outthought us, and now they didn't outwork us. They just did us, and. Most importantly, there was he was about 5. Honestly, this bloke was 5 foot something, stood behind us. This little Scouser, and he was a Geordie, but he was a Scouser. And how I didn't send him through the window, I don't know, because he jumped on us when they went 2-1 up. But actually afterwards, I had a right good chat with him, and he's from Whitley Bay, but his family had all been like Scousers all his life and that. And his grandson was there with him, who was quite a big lad. He's not as big as Daz, but he was a big lad. And he had the Stella top on, and I just thought, do you know what it is? It was a good game of football. We should have won it. We didn't win it. It's not the end of the world. We'll still be there or thereabouts.
Aye, okay, well that's good. I think most of us have at least accentuated some kind of positive there, and I think as well, Ian. I think the one bright spot today was the way that Anthony Gordon not only applied himself to the game and put himself about. He is getting better game by game, but it was the fact that he's added the finish now as well. Because I think the one thing I was saying last week was, I just wish he could add just added goals to his game. And I know it's only a couple of games in, but what a finish that was today.
Yeah. Excellent. And that's what I wanted him to do. And he's proved that, and he needed to as well, because he's had a few chances he needed to. I think there was you can point fingers at people, and you can point blame at people. And if I was being ultra critical, I could say Miggy wasn't on his game offensively. Defensively, he was. First 10 minutes, 15 minutes for me, Big Joe wasn't there, but then he came back into his own, started crunching people. He was great. Do you know what it is? It's just one of them games. We were better than them. We should have won that game. 10 men, 11 men, or whatever. We should have won that game. We didn't. End of story. big deal. You know, like we'll go on, we'll win other games, and they are not for me. And I don't know whether I'm looking through black and white blinkers, but they're not as good as us as a football team.
They've got a lot of they've got a lot of good players though, and they're going through a bit of a transition as well. So listen, Liverpool will be there or thereabouts. They're always going to be a difficult team to beat.
Steve, wasn't it brilliant though? Even though we lost, wasn't it brilliant to see Klopp's face when Van Dijk got sent off?
Yeah, I mean that one will make another good meme. I think definitely
was even better when he started to mouth off and our Jason was going like this to him.
Yeah.
He got him back. He's got him back though, George, because I've seen on Twitter Klopp did that when they went 2-1.
But you know, well, can I just point out? Then this is not me being a bad loser, but can I just point out that this yellow card for everyone surrounding the referee, did that happen? Because there was 10 of them around the referee.
Van Dijk's behaviour towards the fourth official as well was disgusting.
Van Dijk, and I won't even repeat what he said because I'm not going to say bad swear words on here. Yeah, but Van Dijk called him a cheating 3 times.
I saw that. Well, that kind of thing should be in the referee's report.
If that was Newcastle United. Mm-hmm. Surrounding them like that, we would have players off. And I know I know I've had a few and that, but let's be honest, like he got sent off because it was a red card.
Yeah,
there was no way around it.
End of story. Nick says disappointing result, but if Gary Neville can liken us to Real Madrid in the way they hunt down teams with a high press and hard tackling, we can't be that bad. Tom raising another point again about Scousers not being in the away end. Questions for the club to look at how the tickets got into their hands. Well, of course, anybody who was in the wrong end and if they've been apprehended as well, whoever's given them the ticket, sold them the ticket, whatever, is going to be in trouble and probably lose the season tickets. So that's what's going to happen. We were better than Liverpool when we had 10 men last season, but still got beat. Are they our bogey team? I think they are, Stephen. And Sank says Bruno started doing so many mistakes. Maybe he should get a bit of a rest. I thought he played really well today, John. I really did. I thought him, Tonali and Gordon were good. Howe lost the game. He let himself and the club down. Big club versus small club mentality. Mid-table, new manager by January. John, that's not going to happen, mate. And I think that's really harsh. Really harsh on Eddie Howe. Eddie Howe is one of the best managers in the Premier League, and he'll be at Newcastle, I think, for a while. And long may that continue. But listen, halfway through the show, guys, we will, as always, go to the ads.
A big thanks to all our sponsors, Skips and Bins. You can find them at skipsandbins.com or telephone 0800 25 45 25 3. Email inquiries at skipsandbins.com. Website skipsandbins.com. Easy contract free and pay-as-you-go waste collection. Big thanks to Mr. Vicky's Sauces handmade in Cumbria. You can order them from their website, mrvickys.co.uk, or by telephoning 01768 210 102. A big thanks also to New Workwear. You can find them at newworkwear.com. They're an agile and dedicated workwear provider. Welcome back as well to United Travel. They are a UK coaches firm and they are based in the Northeast. They've got 2024 tours and you can contact them on 01670 632 460 or mobile 0791 666 4174. Email info@unitedgrouptravel.com. And they've got a website, which is unitedgrouptravel.com. There's no strangers on their tours, just people you haven't met yet. Big thanks to them for their sponsorship. Big thanks as well to Media Arts, and they supply all the video technology. If you want to become a member and get a cup, a pen, a membership card, and a scarf, then get your smartphone and put it over this QR code. It will take you straight to the membership pack. It's a £25 one-off fee. You can also go to NUFC Matters website and search membership pack to book today. If you want to help the channel, then subscribe to it by hitting the subscribe button, hit the thumb up under the video to like the video, and click share to share to your other social media. We're also available as a podcast on iTunes, Spotify, and other podcast providers. Don't forget, we help the food bank on this channel. If you want to do so virtually, go to nufcfansfoodbank.co.uk and make a donation today. The Alan Shearer raffle is back on. 150 tickets, £1 a ticket, win a limited edition signed Alan Shearer ball. Enter today at nufcmatters.com. Lots of opinions coming in. Result is on the manager. You don't need 3 forwards on the pitch against 10, says Dav. Rich says, think our passing has been uncharacteristically sloppy in both the Man City and Liverpool games. John, who made the comment earlier, says, Eddie Howe's been amazing, but today was a test. JB says, we were better than 10 men last year than Liverpool. This woodwork cost us both games. We'll be fine. Mr. Trigger TV said he felt that Howe lost us the game today with his substitutions. Ian says, that's rubbish. Obviously, we got caught out through a lack of experience, and that's it. Rich says, Botman injuries a worry. Howe mentioned not being able to break them down. Should we have gone in for a more creative midfielder alongside Tonali, who I thought was excellent again today? Poor substitutions from Eddie, says Blakey. And lots of people questioning the substitution. So Darren, I mean, look, says I'm really concerned we do exactly the same substitutions and same players at the same time every game, and our set plays are so predictable. We're only 3 games in. So for me, again, let's give it time before we start looking at these kind of things. But honestly, from my perspective, I'll have my opinion on this, Darren, first. Barry touched on it earlier. It is almost, you feel as if there's people being brought on. You've just got to give people a run out, but you've got to keep the players. You've got to keep the players happy. You've got to give a player the opportunity to come on the pitch. Some of it's about game management. Some of it will be tactical. I mean, this isn't something that's just Newcastle doing it, Darren. I think everybody has to do it. It's a squad game. You have to give people an opportunity. But some of it is tactical and game management. Everybody uses lots of substitutions, Darren, don't they?
Yeah, like I said, Liverpool made 4, 5, didn't they? Like towards the end, correctly. So I do agree with you. Like some of the comment, like he's making this. It's like a bet, which players are going to come off before the board. Right. Before
Newcastle made 5, Darren, right?
Yeah.
Newcastle made 5. I'm just going through the list here. Liverpool did 1, 2, 3, 4. Liverpool did 5. I'm just putting George on mute. I think he's on a phone call there, so I'm about to put George on mute. 5 substitutions for Liverpool as well. So 5 each, Darren.
Well, you knew all knew who was coming up the pitch. The first 2 people who was coming up the pitch. So unfortunately, it was the wrong choice in my opinion. I thought Gordon, I would have kept him on, and could he move Isak to the right and played Wilson up front and done it that way? Do you know what I mean? I know it's become too obvious with the substitution. But I'm not going to criticise Eddie because the same manager called Sir Bobby Robson was roughly the same when he was in charge of Newcastle, wasn't he? He done more or less the same. It's much you need a big squad, Steve, like I said, because at Botman and Jerry, you've got other defenders to come in, and it's a marathon, not a sprint season, and it's going to be a long season. It's going to be a competitive season as well.
Yeah, I mean, Barry, you did touch on the substitutions earlier on, but I think some people are just trying to insinuate it's the same substitutes. But he's going to bring on Barnes, isn't he, for Gordon? Because it's a natural swap. He's going to bring on Elliot Anderson or Sean Longstaff for Tonali and for Joe Linton because that's a natural swap. It's their positions. He's going to bring on, Jamal Lascelles if he wants to take Fabian Schär or take Botman off because that's a swap. I mean, it's stating the obvious, isn't it? That's what a substitute's all about. It's to try and strengthen your team or change something in your team by bringing another player on.
I think it's this fine line, isn't it? It's bringing them on to improve the team, or bringing them on to get them a run out in the side. It's just, I keep going back to Gordon, but Gordon for me today should never have gone off when he took him off. He'd done nothing wrong. He didn't look the kids as fit as anything. He was running at them. He was terrifying their back four, and I couldn't understand why Howe took him off. I'm not saying Barnes didn't deserve to come on, but why was Gordon the one to go? If you, and I'm not saying Miggy had a bad game, but if you compared the two of them, Barnes can play both sides. They can both play both sides of the pitch. Why didn't Miggy go?
I mean, he went off on 70. He went off on 72 minutes. Anthony Gordon. There was 18 minutes to go. Newcastle was still winning 1-0, and bringing Barnes on for me was a positive move. So and it's something that's been done. I mean, and I think for me,
would you have brought him on for Miggy?
I don't think Miggy had a bad game at all. I think Miggy was testing. I think Miggy got less of the ball, but had more chances and was just bloody unlucky with the woodwork. Do you know what I mean? He was unlucky. There was a wonderful save, and he hit the woodwork. I think Miggy played well. I think the midfield in general played well. I think Botman, apart from that little bit of bad luck where the ball hit his backside, had a good game as well. You can't say that Newcastle played badly today. I think the substitution that changed the game was Núñez. I think that was the one that changed the game, and he was the difference between the two teams. He scored two wonderful goals, which you'd be hard pushed to score a brace like that, an accurate brace like that. Two almost carbon copy goals. I just think, look, substitutions did alter the game, but it was. I just genuinely feel, sometimes you've got to hold your hands up and say,
isn't it annoying that like Núñez is pretty shit against everyone else, but when he plays against us, he looks real class.
Well, you're right. Gary Finnegan's just said in the chat, Núñez normally hits the corner flag. He just got lucky today, and that's exactly right.
I wouldn't say
£80 million striker. It's like, no.
He's not very good. He hasn't been very good so far for Liverpool.
I mean, again, I felt sorry for Isaac because I think he didn't have a great number of chances, but he was working at it, and it was as if to say, Wilson needs to get on for at least a certain amount of time. He needs to get on the pitch, and it was. And I'm not one of these who necessarily believes that we should have the two strikers playing together because I don't think it always works for us having Wilson and Isaac. But we had an extra extra player. And we just never seemed to make the most of that. He didn't change the formation at all to take on board that we had an extra man. I just think it's somebody said it before in the chat that Man City against us last week, they only made one substitution and it was very late on in the game because they knew that they had to keep on top of us and keep going at us because they knew we were a danger to them. And it's like, so you're allowed to use 5 subs, but you don't have to use them. But
don't have to use any subs if you don't want to. It's a valid point you make. I'm gonna make that our last topic about Isaac and Wilson, and whether we should make them play together. But just George, moving on to you, if you're free from your phone at the moment, I'll unmute you. The substitutions, George. Lots of people saying that Eddie changed the game.
Well, was the timing not the? No, it wasn't the timing. It was the personnel. The players that went off were our 2 best players at the time, and I couldn't see why you would want to take them off. There were others who could easily have gone off. Miggy did have a good game, but he'd also used a lot of he'd run and run. I'd think let's have another speedster on that side, not just Miggy. But I just felt he picked the wrong personnel because they were playing so well, and it also where Tonali was, of course, that's where Núñez went. their substitute came in and filled some of the holes that Tonali was filling. So no, I'm overall still quite happy about how we played. It's fine margins. I mean, if either there was Miggy balls that went in the net, we'd all be sitting here cheering tonight, but it just didn't happen. So I think we dust ourselves down and get ready for the next one is how I approach it now. because you go on, people go on and on and on and on about the downside of things, and you turn something that's very positive into something that's very negative. 70 odd years of supporting Newcastle United, I've seen some terrible times. I'm quite happy at the moment, to be honest. Really looking forward to the next game.
Yep. Okay. Wayne Patton says Nunes had 13 minutes on the pitch, 9 touches, 2 shots, 2 goals. Definitely Tonali should not have went off. And Gordon had Liverpool's life. We should have given Gordon more the ball to run at them because Trent was already on a yellow. I mean, that was what we did do, Wayne. To be fair, I think we did give Gordon a lot of the ball. The ball was constantly down the left. But yeah, look, it is what it is. Derek says, to me, it just shows that we still have a bit to go as we should be killing teams off after playing like that. We battered them, but lost the game. And Tonali should not have come off, or Joe Linton, the other subs. Yes, says Daniel. Chip, as the substitutions are taking the majority of the chat tonight, which is why people are having a pop at Eddie Howe because he's the man who makes the decisions along with with these coaching staff. But what's your view? I mean, some people saying we do too many substitutions. We're substitutions are too predictable. But like I tried to explain there before, what do you expect him to do? Bring on Jamal Lascelles and stick him up front. I mean, I know that's a bit of a bit of an over the top one, but do you know what I'm trying to say? Who else do you expect to bring on for Gordon? He's obviously going to bring Barnes on.
You probably would have brought him on up front last night, Steve.
I would have, yeah.
We're talking about Isaac and Wilson, over.
No, we're talking about. We could be talking about them because I mean, he constantly brings off Isaac and puts Wilson on, but yeah, what do you expect him to do? That's what that's your centre forward for centre forward.
The thing is, we can all have opinions in that, but Eddie Howe's the manager who trains with these 7 days a week, 365. Wait, I don't know if they train Christmas Day, 365 days a year. He knows the players better than us. We can just have opinions, and I'm just gonna have an opinion that we could have went to up front today against 10 men. When Wilson came on, I would have maybe kept Isaac on as well because he didn't really have much service in the game. So I'm thinking he might still been a bit fresher as opposed to being tired or that, and maybe taking me off. And you could have had Barnes one side. You could have done something something that Klopp may not have picked up on. Or I think when Klopp saw our changes, he probably thought it's predictable. It's just what like for like, and or even put Isaac out on the wing, put Wilson through the middle, just little things like that. That Klopp might go, I didn't see that coming. I didn't think I would do that. But again, like I said last week, it's if, buts, and maybes again, and it's just I think it's if Miggy's 2 chances that hit the bottom post go in, we don't talk about it, and we'll come away possibly winning 3-0, and them 2 goals don't happen. It's fine margins. It's just, I mean, if Eddie Howe makes 2 subs and they equalise and one of the subs scores a late winner, he gets called the hero because the sub wins with the game. It's just one of them things. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place. It's like you can win, but you can't win. It's what. I'm not being critical on Eddie Howe because the job he's done here is phenomenal to get us from second bottom in the league to now being in the Champions League and being a team that's getting into so many people's heads. I can't believe people are slagging them off in the chat. It's ridiculous because we've got short memories of where we've come from, where we are now, and yeah, he makes mistakes, but I'm pretty sure Arsene Wenger made mistakes, Alex Ferguson made mistakes. I'm sure Pep Guardiola makes mistakes. I'm sure all managers make mistakes. It's just the fact is he'll learn from it because he's never had this sort of situation before, and he's never worked with players. No disrespect to Bournemouth, but he hasn't worked with players of this top quality before. He learned from it. I'm pretty sure he'll come out and admit that he probably got stuff wrong today because he always does, because he's always honest. So. Again, it's just a case of
don't he, Chippers?
Yeah, I mean, if we go out and beat Brighton next Saturday, who's going to bat an eyelid? They'll all think he's a genius again. The same people who are slagging them off. So, but again, I'm not going to delve too much into it. I do think there is things that we could possibly do, like to confuse managers and that. But again, I'm not a football manager. Eddie Howe's the manager, so I trust what he does.
We've gone from being 43 points behind Liverpool in the season that was stayed up to being 4 points ahead of them in the space of 12 months. That tells you where Newcastle United are now. So that puts it into perspective anyway. Ian, just your thoughts on this substitute situation that everyone seems to be talking about. What do people expect him to do? I mean, he's not going to get everyone right. You're watching the game. You make a decision, and managers live and die by those decisions.
So I would I would have maybe done something different, but what we've got to remember is we're signing players here for the future. We're not signing 28-year-old players who are at the prime. We're signing young, talented, quick, skillful players who are learning as they go along, and they'll learn off this lesson today. We've got to remember, the kids, a lot of these players, I know they're in the 20s and that, but in comparison to Liverpool's players today, if you look at the age profile against them, the players that we've signed are all younger players, and we're doing that for a reason. This season it may not pay off. Next season they'll learn from this and it will pay off. The season after it'll be even better. I thought we played really well today. I personally would have, I'm not a football manager. I play Football Manager, and to be honest, I'm pretty good. But being honest, for me, I would have took Miggy off. I thought he was doing what Miggy does, but I would have took him off. I would have left Gordon on. I would have done things differently. But we are not with these players day in, day out on the training pitch. The lads did the best. Nobody can blame Botman for what happened with him with that. He did everything that he should have done. The ball hit off his arse and his heel. You can't hold that against Botman. I thought Botman was quality today. I thought he was really good. I thought Byrne was great as well today. I don't know whether people agree with us, but I thought Byrne played really well today, even though, he might lack the pace that we want in there, but I thought he was good. I thought we played a really good game today, but I thought we lacked experience, and that's where they did us. And I could see it coming, and that was what was sick about it, because we should have won that game today. And in a year or 2 years' time, our team would beat them. But at the moment, we've signed a lot of young players, and they're learning the craft. They're still learning how to play the game, out of game management. So, yeah.
Derek says, I'm looking forward to Hall getting in. As Byrne got nowhere near Nunes for the second. He stopped, Derek, unfortunately. I've seen that goal back, and he stopped. And then he tried to start again, but Nunes was past him. And again, no doubt that was just a quality finish. Substitutions then, Vince. Lots of people having a pop at Eddie Howe. I think it's unjustified, completely unjustified. That people are even daring to criticise him. I'm not saying that you can't have a constructive, chat about things, but people saying he should be out, and January there'll be a new manager, etc. It just drives me up the wall when I see things like that. And these people are either Mackems or just clearly not really, Newcastle fans. But we can all criticise. Certain things. And the one person who'll be criticising Eddie Howe more than anybody else is Eddie Howe. He'll be looking today. He'll be doing his head in about it, listening to what he said at his press conference on Friday. I think he was saying, when you lose a game, does it stay with you? And he says, every game that I have lost, if I think back to a particular game or a particular fixture, he said, the bad memories come back. And I think today will probably haunt him just as much as some of the others.
Yeah, no, totally. Like says, I mean, it's like says, you can bring players on sometimes or make a change, and they'll do what you think. But like says, it's not just how, it's the players that got to come on and play that well as well. It's like sometimes they'll come on, they'll be brilliant. Sometimes they'll come on, they'll not be brilliant. Like says, you've got to give them. How is just doing what he thinks like is best and all that. And like you see, like you said, Steve, he's got to keep these players happy. Like as well, it's like giving them game time and all that. Like we've just the money we've spent on these players, brought them in. he would have promised things and all that, and then he's going to have to give them game time as well. So it's it's massively difficult to do. People like even questioning and going and all that. It boggles my mind. Some people think what he's done with this team and where he's taken it in such a short space of time is unreal. What he's done with players like Murphy looks a completely different player. Joe Linton, Jesus, I mean the heights he's risen to and things like that. But no, the substitutions. People said Joe Linton shouldn't come off. Joe Linton was injured. He went down. He was limping a bit. That's why he took him off. He had to make obviously a substitution because Botman got injured. So, and he's going to make them. He's going to make them like Steve said there, straight swaps. Joe Linton's come off. I need to put that kind of player in there, keep it going and all that, and just how hopes that these players can come on. And sometimes it's difficult for the players to get into the game, get warm up, the atmosphere and all that. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But like you say, Eddie Howe there'll be no one else kicking him harder than Eddie Howe. You're right, I watched that as well. Stephen, what he said about how it lives with him, how it stays with him, and he's thinking, oh, what could I have done better? It will, but that's the man. I love the man. He's honest, and he's very forthright and all that. I love the way he talks every time and all that. He is the man. I want him to stay for a long time. I want to be here, settle in, and he's building this squad and the players we're getting in, just the camaraderie, the players and all that. It's great, but you can't. It'll either work or it won't, and that's it. So what you're gonna do? You know what I mean? It's on the players as well, but no. It's just again. It's just Liverpool. It's just I don't know. I just can't. I just don't understand it. But it always seems to be that way. But for me, no. You see, people saying when you know the keeper, say Jesus. It's just grasp reality, please. And someone said we can't get anyone else because we're skidding the chat. I read that as well. Going, how do you know that? And
who wants another keeper?
I mean, look, Nick, I do think Nick Pope always has a bad game when Gareth Southgate's there. And Gareth Southgate was sitting in the stands today. And as soon as you see Gareth Southgate at a Newcastle game, Pope never seems to play, never seems to have his best of games. And that's just unfortunate. He could have done nothing with the 2 goals, by the way.
He had a bad first 10 minutes, but I thought he was good after that. I don't know whether
I cringe when he comes out the box, though. I really do.
He was coming out of the box a lot.
Steve, I will say something. Alisson in the second half was miles off his line, and Pope should have had a shot. Right? Yes. That's the only thing I say. He should have had a pop. That's the only thing. But no, Pope is class, man. They give it their all, and it just it's one of them days where it just doesn't work, and it just has to be Liverpool and Clippity Clop. I don't understand it, no, Steve, you're totally right. It's just one of them. It either works or it doesn't.
Yeah. Only got about 6 or 7 minutes left, so don't want to drag this out. Just Stephen says, does the panel think, despite our height advantage, we continue not to put much pressure on corners? Vince, I'll let you start with this one. Go around the other way. We'll finish with Darren.
Right.
I mean, set pieces, corners are. I mean, Tonali's come in. I mean, I know he's still bedding in and learning his craft in the Premier League. Trippier still seems to be taking all the free kicks. We don't seem to be making much of a variety at the moment. I don't know. I didn't watch anything of Tonali before he came to the club, but I was told, led to believe that he was a bit of a free kick specialist. So maybe we might see some difference in free kicks moving forward. But are we still not really taking advantage from corners?
Yeah. Basically, we're on the attack so much now, and the amount of corners we're getting. Yes. I mean,
we need to improve.
I think improving, but I think Lascelles should take some of these defenders in and show them how to attack, because Lascelles, for a centre half, always was a threat in the other box. Always, he's always just powered in, and I think he needs to his Burn. Good God,
We've got a big team. We've got a big team.
Yeah.
That's it. We should be taking more advantage. Ian, thoughts? Do you think we should be capitalising a bit more on the height in the team?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of things that we can improve on. I think what we've got to do now is focus on what we're doing good and what we've done well and how we've got into this position. And I don't want to sound like I'm just being like, you know, Eddie Howe's fanboy, you know, or anything. But let's be honest, we're punching well above our weight here. We should have won that game today. For me, we were the better team today. We had lots of opportunities. Our inexperience, for me, was what we lost the match on. And that might have been Eddie's substitutions to an extent. Definitely some of the players. But I thought we played a good game of football today and we were unlucky and we should have capitalised on them losing the player. The ref didn't do us any favours for me. I don't know what you think about that. I don't know whether you thought about him, but he was flipping useless. But yeah, I do think that Trips is given the set pieces because he is good at set pieces, but I do think his delivery's been off, and it was off towards the back end of the last season, and it has been off. But he also put in some good corners today. But it's worth mixing it around, isn't it? It's worth mixing it.
A bit more variety, Chippers. Is that what we're looking for? Maybe some set pieces.
Yeah, I mean, if you saw the first game of the season against Villa, Tonali, the ball to Tonali, then he put the ball in for Botman, who put it back for Isak. That was different variations, you know, that obviously we've been working on. I think this is the predictable side, unfortunately, of us at the moment, is when we get with set pieces, because you know it's going to be Trippier taking it. I've seen some of Italy's under 21 games in the tournament, and Tonali was like the talisman for Italy.
Yeah,
every free kick, corners, free kicks, he was taking everything, and he set up a few goals because of that. Now, this last season, if you look at our defence, I think we only scored 2 goals between the 3 centre-halves last season, and it was only one of them was a set piece. I think obviously Shaw scored that against Forest, which was a shot, and I think it was just Dan Burn that scored ahead of Brighton. Botman didn't score that season from any set piece, so yeah, it's something that, especially when you're on top like we are in most games, when you're going to get a lot of corners, you're going to get free kicks, you need to take advantage, because like today, if we did that, we could have scored a couple more, and them scoring possibly wouldn't have made much difference if we took the chances. And if we like the amount of niggly free kicks we were getting, especially in the second half, the amount of corners we were getting, you just think, just one, all it takes is one to go in the back of the net, and it's just none of them had a shot at created effort on target. And I'm thinking, we've got 10 men here. I mean, we've got 11 men, sorry. Press home the advantage. But I just thought, again, with set pieces, I thought after the Villa game where we scored one of them, I thought things might look a bit different with Tonali, but it's still the same. And again, manager was just looking, think he's taking the free kick. And I would love to see on
Chippers. Do you think he's down to the players we're signing?
I don't know whether that's because obviously Tonali, I don't know about his English, how good it is. I mean, it might be a case of he might say, Trips, give us the ball. Obviously, he's not going to say it like that because I don't think he can speak fluent Geordie yet. But whether he's too scared to do that. Keelan, give me the ball.
Give me the ball.
I don't know, but I think if, like I've said before, Eddie Howe knows what goes on in training. We don't really just say what happens every Saturday or Sunday or Friday or whenever we play.
I think Eddie Howe does his tactics and free kicks in training, and he's a believer of what works and what he's happy with. So I don't think it's that personally. I think he prefers what he knows, what's safe. Unfortunately, not working. Tonali will get a chances, but he's just come to a new club, so.
He doesn't change it until it's broken.
No, but Darren, we do have a free kick specialist. I mean, you know, we do have people who work on free kicks and corners and stuff. So I guess you know, it's down to them, and you know they'll make the changes as and when. But I think I've said it for a while, and you know, even during the Bruce era, going back, from our point of view, we haven't been great at corners and set pieces, and we do need to improve. And that is an area which maybe he'll have to look at. It's as good as a goal. Darren, it's Tonali, I guess, who would love to see have an opportunity, wouldn't we? Because he's certainly taken to Tyneside, and we've taken it to our hearts as well.
Yeah, I kind of get with Chipper, I kind of with Ian at the same time, but I'm just convinced Eddie knows he's in training. He does all the tactics and he plans everything right. So, and he's just what's not broken. It's not broken. I don't mean broken. I just think we had a few good set pieces a day in the box come in. It was like unlucky some of them, but I think Tonali will get his chance on free kick, Steve, 100%. He's just got to be patient. I think he's got to be a little bit more patient, but I don't think he'll get his chances. I'm convinced.
All right, Barry, what would you like to see with free kicks and corners, set pieces?
I sort of agree with what Darren said. I think Tonali's still embedding himself in the team. I know he's been there for the full pre-season, but he's just now starting to look the player who's intermingling with Bruno and obviously Joe Linton as well. He's getting that down pat. I mean, the thing is as well, we'll make it sound as though we've only got two players who can do decent crosses of the ball. I mean, Barnes is a superb crosser. Gordon can take corners as well. There must be some reason as how it does it, because it's obviously it's too regular not to be. But we've definitely got people who can interchange it, and it's a shame that, like you said, Steve, with the height of our team, it's one of our big assets that we've got a lot of really tall players who could get stuck in there if the cross was accurate. And I'm not saying Trippier isn't, but he is very predictable at times. But it's possibly just we're only, like you say, we're only 3 games in. It's something that Howell will develop as we go along. So just keep the faith with him, I suppose, and hope it gets better.
On set pieces, when Target first joined, his delivery with the left boot was great. We're starting to get a bit stale. Miggy assists are non-existent. We need more postmen, says Sean. George, finishing off with you on set pieces and corners. Would you like to see something a bit different, mate?
The other platforms before that, I'd like to see somebody other than Trippier having a go. And if you look at the Italy's under 23s, Tonali was brilliant. I mean, he wasn't just good; he was brilliant. Yeah, he's got to bed in, but you've got to accept he brings the skill and let him use that skill when he's got the chance, in my view. But I wanted to say something bigger about today, because the one thing I used to worry about in the past, and especially when Bruce was our manager, was whether we were fit enough to do all these things, whether we're faded. I haven't got that worry now.
No.
They're all as fit as butchers' dogs. That's the one thing we don't have to worry about. And I used to worry about Bruce's training methods. Not worry about this lot. I mean, the training grounds, 100 yards away from where I'm sitting now, more or less. And occasionally I go upstairs to my bedroom and try and clamber up the wardrobe to see if I can see anything. That's probably how I've got bad legs. But
George, maybe you should get down there and get Miggy.
Some of the things they used to do when Bruce was there, I used to drive me crackers. All this running they used to do. Good for some people, but for people like Dwight York, it was a bloody disaster. His legs were knackered. So, and I'm not worried about that with Howard. I'm not worried about that with the team. So I'm pretty positive about what's coming. And yes, when the bed in, it'll be a bit, it'll be much better. But there's more positives than negatives for me at the moment.
Okay, great stuff. We'll try to make that as positive as we can when it's a 2-1 defeat at home in a game we should have won. I hope you felt that anyway. We will be back 6 o'clock tomorrow night with Geordie's here, Geordie's there. But for now, thanks to Darren, to Barry, to George, to Sam, to Ian, and to Vince. Take care, lads. See you again next week.
Good to see you, lads.
See you, lads. Bye-bye.
We still do 7 NUFC Matters show a week for free. But if you want to help support NUFC Matters, then there are a few ways of doing it. Hit the like button on each live broadcast and video. This helps the channel grow. Hit the subscribe button and select the all notifications bell so you don't miss a single show. If you want to help us financially, then you can join the channel using this button with the membership starting at $1.99 a month. Or you can drop us a donation in the chat using a super sticker. We're also looking for sponsors. If you'd like your brand advertised on the flyers for the show and featured during the ad break, then email John at nufcmatters.com to arrange today.